Hey there, how's it going? This is James Tripp, and it's a while since you've heard from me, certainly here on YouTube, because I've been focusing most of my attention, some will know, on the Agents of Everything podcast. So I've not had as much time or bandwidth free for YouTubing, and frankly, I like the audio better because I don't have to comb my hair. So this is a rare video, but I promised I'd make this video. I promised Alex Crowe I would make this video. If you know Alex, you might know him from the Trip and Crow podcast. It's another podcast that I was doing. We're on a hiatus because Alex has got a lot going on at the moment. But I'm giving a shout out here on behalf of Alex because Alex is putting something on here in the UK that I think is of incredible value. And I know as soon as I say that, you're going to think, oh, James is selling something or whatever. I'm not really. I'm letting you know about something. I don't get any kind of kickback from this. But I do know of the genuine, phenomenal value of what is being put together and offered and how rare this is. It is genuinely a rare opportunity. It's something that I have experienced myself in the past and I value incredibly highly. I would call absolutely life-changing for me. So I do want to give a shout out because I'll become 100% transparent. It's a bit rare, it's a bit arcane, and it's almost full. One more place has to go on this experience, on this process, whatever you want to call it, before it can definitely run. And it is definitely worth running. Okay, so maybe this is going to be you, maybe not. Maybe if you're thinking, well, what are you talking about, James? I can't go to anything in the UK, but I'm curious anyway. Stick around, I'll let you know a little of what's happening. Okay, so as I mentioned, Alex Crowe is putting this event on, this experience, this process on. And he's hosting my friend James Sakalos. Now, the way this came about is I was having a coffee with Alex. So I met up with him because I was down in Hertfordshire where he was living at the time. This is about 6 months ago. And Alex was saying that he'd started to get intuitions about people's values based upon just how they seem to move. And he said, have I ever heard of anything like this before? I said, well, yes, I very much have heard of something like this before. Do you know anything about James Sakalos? He said, no. Who's James Sakalos? He's a friend of mine in Melbourne, Australia. And he runs this, I hesitate to call it a training because it's an immersive experience. It is an immersive, transformative experience. But it's in this thing he calls spiral somatics. Now, spiral somatics is based on the idea that the way we see the world, the way we organize our reality, the way we make sense of things and our value sets are embodied. They are not just intellectual ideas that float about. They literally shape how we show up and engage in the world physically. Right, this is something that people miss. We are physical creatures first and foremost. And so we embody our minds. That means our body is changed by that embodiment of mind, right? That embodiment of seeing, that embodiment of being. Now, once you understand this, you can start to make use of this particular insight, this particular understanding in a variety of creative ways. Now, spiral somatics, you've probably heard the idea if you're into personal development that everybody is an individual, right? Everybody sees the world in their own unique way. And of course, this is true. No two people see the world or make sense of the world or hold the same value sets. That is absolutely true. There is no question about that. However, it is also true to say that we human beings generally have more in common than we have to separate us in terms of our sense making. Right? And this means these commonalities tend to show up. Now, they're not always showing up in equal measure in every individual. So they tend to sit in clusters. Okay? So we get clusters of values and ways of sense making, particular ways of sense making that will show up, and people will be kind of centered in these clusters, if this makes sense. Right? It's a bit of a crazy abstract idea at the moment. But you know, you'll have seen like personality typing, this kind of thing. This type of personality, that type of personality. It's kind of like that, but it's not that. It goes way, way beyond that. It goes way, way deeper. So what spiral somatics does is it recognizes this physicalization of mind and takes you through a process of being able to move into different modes of mind, different ways of being, different ways of seeing, different value sets, and really physically embody them. Go there fully yourself. Now, there are two consequences that come out of this. The first one is the most superficial. It enables you to read people, okay, in such a way that you kind of know the way you need to speak to them, not just with your words, but with your non-verbals, in order to get a kind of resonance going on, whereby that person's going to be highly responsive to you. So I'm talking about kind of influence here. I'm talking about reading people for the sake of influence. But I want to make this absolutely clear. I am not talking about some kind of intellectual audit you make of somebody that you then consciously make some adjustments in your speech and communications and consciously pick certain words or anything like that. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about being able to drop so fully into somebody's reality that the words that come out of your mouth all by themselves without you having to do anything, and the way you move your body, the way you use your voice, is by default resonant for that person. Okay? So you could look at this in terms of rapport. It's about building an incredibly high level of deep unconscious rapport with people. But it's also being able to speak from their organization of reality to them from their organization of reality without any intellectualization of the process. Now, that's for a lot of people pretty wild stuff. And James has got endless testimonials from people who are in sales and kind of influence roles and that sort of thing, talking about how incredibly valuable this is. I myself have experienced the incredible value of this because I've used this ability, this set of capabilities that I have developed through doing James's process. I've used that with the clients that I work with, particularly in Rock to Recovery. Okay, so I get people that come from very, very different worlds and very, very different value sets because they're not coming in because they saw me online or they resonate with me or anything like that. They don't know me at all. So I have a particularly high level of ability to drop into resonance with clients. So I just share a quick detail here. I'm not going to give any details because obviously it's client confidential, but I was working with somebody recently who was brought in by their sort of liaison officer, somebody who's come out of jail basically, and they're having some difficulty adjusting. And they brought their caseworker in with them because they don't usually like officials. And it could have gone badly if he had not liked me. And afterwards she said, that was incredible what you did. I've never seen anything like that. You just completely got into, she didn't use the word rapport, but she said you just completely got into sync. That was incredible. Now, I'm not trying to, give myself massive kudos for this because this comes from Spiral Somatics, the ability to do that, to just drop into somebody's way of being, their resonance, and just be on the same page as them. Okay. Now, I'm not using that to sell them anything. Obviously, I'm doing change work. I'm helping that person make adjustments in their life, but it helps to have that level of resonance. All right. It really, really helps. However, to me, that's not the most valuable thing about Spiral Somatics. It's just not. And that's because I'm a kind of selfish individual and I'm not actually overly interested outside of the professional realms of life in being a big influencer or anything like that. I'm interested in my own ability to connect with the world creatively and generatively, to be in the world flexibly, right? So, life comes our way and it serves to be able to approach it in a variety of different ways. Most people have got like one or two gears, so they're not good at approaching life flexibly. What Spiral Somatics has done for me more than anything else is increased my ability to literally just shift into a different headspace, to a different way of being, not just so as I can have rapport with different people, but so that I can see the world differently. Put a different set of lenses on, a different set of filters on, a different set of, a different set of sense, right? Different set of filters is the best way to put it. Now, I want to make it clear. For me, Spiral Somatics is a transformative training. It isn't really, it stops being about the material. I feel that Spiral Somatics changed me and my ability to shift myself, shift my being, right? And not just within the training categories, so to speak, the 6 categories, base categories that get used. You know, it's almost like once you develop a level of skill, you go beyond that. I've taken to wrestling recently, right? I'm doing freestyle wrestling, and it's a new thing for me. I've done other martial arts, and I've got things I can translate into the freestyle wrestling. But somebody was saying to me the other day that freestyle wrestling is the most creative sport that they've ever done. They've done a few different sports, quite a lot of different sports. This is the most creative sport they've ever done, because once they assimilated all the kind of basic stuff, their ability to change in the moment to meet what needs to be met, right, constantly surprises them. For me, Spirosomatics is a bit like that, right, but for the mind, for your being in the world. Okay, so it's not that I'm going to fall back on techniques or particular response sets or anything like that. There's an attribute set that gets built into the body that enables you to be much more subtly adaptive, you know, in ways that might be completely unique. You might surprise yourself with your responses. You might surprise yourself with your creativity as you engage with other people in the world around you. Okay, so it's a very, very valuable thing. Now, what can I say about this? My friend James Tsoukalos, he's got video information on it, so I'll just put a link around that. I'll just say that I've done this training, been through this process twice fully, once again on top of that almost completely, and another time a sort of shortened intro session. So I'm going to call that 3 times in total. Each time I got deeper shifts and deeper changes. This is, as I say, it's not just a training, it's a transformative experience. It is a process that you go through. I highly value it. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I will say it's extremely rare to get the opportunity if you're in the UK. I don't know when you'll get the opportunity again. James hasn't been here for a while. I hosted him here twice to do this. It's not likely I'm going to be hosting him again because I've moved on from the business of hosting people and that kind of thing. I don't know if Alex will do it again. It's such a rare training. It's, in a sense, it's specialist, but it's applicable to anybody who wants to be more able to show up and create in the world, with other people, influence people, understand people deeply, connect with people deeply. It's for anybody who's looking to up their skill in that. And as I record this, it's about 1 month away. So whether this training runs or not depends upon whether the final place gets sold, because James is coming over from Australia. He's got his flights, there's venue costs, there's all sorts of things, accommodation. So there's not really a big profit margin in this. But if you're going to be that person, if you want to be that person, I will see you there, because I'm going to do backup room for James. So I'm going to help him out, assist a little bit. And the reason, I'll just tell you why I'm going along. Of course, James is my friend. I'm not going to not see James while he's in the UK. Alex is my friend as well. But why am I going to go along for the whole thing? I'm going to go along for the whole thing to watch James, because James is definitely amongst the top NLP trainers in the world. His trainings are totally next level in terms of their design, their multi-layered, their depth. It's just absolutely phenomenal the way James trains. So I'm kind of going there to sort of model his training skills a bit, as much as anything else. So I'll see you there. If you decide to be that person, you can, we can hang out for the week, and it's going to be a great little community that builds up around this. I know that because it always has been in the past. All right, I'm not going to say any more. I would say if you like the video, but this is just like a shout out video, so I'll leave that down to you. I'll be probably back on YouTube at some point in the not too distant. I've got a plan for how I'm going to start creating content for YouTube. I'm going to be doubling that up with something else. So yeah, you're likely to see more videos dropping from me soon. But in the meantime, if you have any questions about anything, please do make use of the comment section below. Until we next connect, keep on using your mind to shape your life.